In the world of face and body art, there are many preeminent artists. Mark Reed and Margie Stanley are some of the most renowned in their field. This is the story of their collaboration. It's a world with many challenges, but also many rewards. So, how did this project come about?
Hey, sweetie.
What's up?
I got something to tell you.
What's that?
So, do you want to go on an adventure with me?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's always. This one's kind of a big one, though.
What is it?
My friend Mark Reed called.
Yeah.
He wants to do a body painting in the White Sands.
Oh, stupendous.
Yeah, his model couldn't show up because she couldn't get a flight out of Indiana, so he wanted to do it in October. Would that work for you?
Should be. You can get the time off.
All right, cool. It's going to be a blast.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So, who are Mark Reed and Margie Stanley? Let's find out a little bit more and how we ended up here today.
My name is Margie Stanley, and I'm formerly known as Margie Cantor in the face painting world. Been face painting since '93, I think, so about 23 years. I'm basically a face painter that performs professionally all over the world, actually. I'm known for my cartooning. My father was a cartoonist, so I kind of took his cartoon style and put it on the face and created books called Pick Your Nose. And they kind of catapulted my career to travel around the world. I've always drawn. I always drew cartoons on everything. Even like the underside of the table, when I was a little kid, I used to sit under the table in the living room watching TV, and I would draw underneath the table. And my mom would vacuum, and she'd flip the table over, and she'd be like, "Margie, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I didn't do that." She goes, "I would have believed you, but you signed your name." So I guess I've always been an artist. My girlfriend asked me to start face painting with her, and I was totally like, I don't need another job. I was a yoga instructor. I also cut hair. I had 3 kids. My plate was full. Turned out face painting was a really great idea because we started face painting together, doing little parties, and then it started develop into corporate events, and I started working with agents a few years later and going to conventions, and that's kind of where it started. Well, Mark Reed is one of my mentors. He actually taught me how to paint my first line, which he's done for thousands of other face painters. He developed this technique where you take the brush and you land it like an airplane and it takes off like an airplane. And it was intriguing because before him, I was struggling so much with the brush, and he just showed me the way. He's an incredible instructor. He's an amazing body painter. He's traveled the world along with me and several other artists. I met Mark Reed at the Face and Body Art International Convention in probably 2004, 2005. He was an instructor there, and he was really well known for his tigers at the time. And so he was painting tigers on everyone who would like sit long enough to be painted. He would literally sit in the lobby painting people. He had like this crowd of women around him that wanted to be painted by Mark Reed. And I was like, oh God. Then I went to his class, and he was very strict and very serious, but also very funny and kind. So he was very easy to learn from. Mark and I worked together on many occasions. Actually, I had met him in 2004, 2005, and then fast forward to 2011, 2012. I went to the convention in Holland. He was very much a mentor to me at that time, and told me, you know, you need to buy a better camera because you're going to start traveling the world. He saw something in me that I absolutely didn't know existed. I was very humbled by his words. But and then along the way, he would come to Chicago. I would put together classes for him to teach there, and then we'd see each other every year at the Face and Body Art conventions. Some of my favorite memories of Mark Reed are, gosh, there's so many, but I'll just kind of take a few out of the hat. When we were in Holland, Annie Reynolds painted my back. She painted an angel on my back, and then we literally painted all night long, slept for like an hour, and went to the red light district. And I had a light button-up shirt on and a pair of jeans, and we would just walk through the red light district, just drop my shirt, take a picture. And Mark was the photographer, and he got some of the best shots of me just messing around in the red light district. And that was like, I don't know, just very bizarre to be in that situation, which you never think you're going to be in, but we always found ourselves in bizarre situations. And another time, he came to Chicago, and he body painted an angel on my back, a different one. And we decided we were going to go to our park to take some pictures. I climbed up a tree and sat on the branch. And he's like, we're going to get arrested. You better get down from there. And I'm like, relax, we're fine. Just get the picture. He got the picture. I popped out of the tree, put my shirt on, and a cop walked by. We were both like, we just laughed. We just always had a silliness between us. We get each other's humor. And that's really important when you've got to work with somebody, to just be relaxed. That's a couple memories. Mark's work in our industry is some of the most precise line work that you will ever see. He's crisp, he's clean, he's colorful, but he definitely has his own style. If he gets bored, he does something different than anybody else does. There was a time where he was painting just legs, and he made a whole series of just legs of body art. Just incredible guy. He comes from a really small town in New Mexico. He was known for painting signs, worked for UPS, I think, or FedEx. He was just a regular guy who one day just was face painting in Texas, and this lady came over to him and showed him how to use water-based makeup, and he just took off. He's just an incredible individual. Mark's impact on the industry would include his style of tigers, the evolution of Mark's tigers. People used to just paint kind of crappy little cats, and he came along and used his line work to create perfection. A few years of doing tigers and butterflies and all that stuff, and he graduated to painting jeans. And then when he painted the jeans, they really just looked completely realistic.
You're not talking about people wearing
bare
jeans
naked.
that he's
We're bare
painting.
naked, and he's painting jeans on us, and they look just like jeans. He actually puts a little pocket with and puts a little piece of his card sticking out of the pocket. He's done lace on the pocket. It's just incredible how far he's taken jeans, and everybody around the world, if you ask about jeans, they're Mark Reed's jeans because he perfected it. My current relationship with Mark Reed is based on really close friendship. You know, we've been through so much together in the industry, ups and downs, and you know, mostly ups. He's done it all, and you know, we could call each other up and just chat about anything. When my fiance passed away many years ago, he was one of the first people to just call me up and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And really just, I think that's when we bonded, because he really truly cared about what I was going through. And he kind of helped me to grow from that and understand that people come into your life for a reason, a season, all those things. But he helped me understand that David helped me develop my style, and it was up to me to take what he showed me and develop it into something more. And so that really was a wonderful bond. And now, fast forward 15 years, now Mark's going through some health issues. So he can't really go out and paint. He can't go far from home. So we're going to go to him. In January, a girlfriend and I went out to see him to help him with some Super Bowl paintings that he does every year. And ironically, one of the models didn't show up, so he ended up painting me for this event. And it turned out to be just so much joy. And he told us when it was all said and done how he was just so depressed, and us coming to him to see him really elevated his heart and he helped him to keep going. And that's what friends are for. He was there for me, and now I'm here for him. I am so excited to go to White Sands to be painted by Mark. For me, it's full circle. I've never been fully body painted by Mark. I've had jeans, I've had back paintings, face paintings, but never the full body experience. When he does these full body paintings, he creates animals and characters and flowers and different things that envelop your body. It's such a cool experience to watch him paint, but to be the canvas for Mark Reed is going to be an incredible experience. And the White Sands, are you kidding me? It's white, so whatever he paints out there is going to be bam, color, right?
Made it to Roswell, New Mexico, where Mark Reed picked us up, and we headed to Alamogordo to prepare for our weekend in the White Sands.
Where'd you get the vision from, or the motivation? Yep, just came in.
Yeah, just kidding. I'll tell you where I got the vision from. Those spots.
Okay. I see.
Well, I'll put some black in there because the White Sands are white.
White, yeah.
So have a nice contrast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It wouldn't matter what colors we use. I like a little bit of black because she has blonde hair for one, and she will have a mask.
We're gonna have a headpiece.
No,
So do you want me to wear my hair straight or curly?
whatever you like, no matter. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Life is good. What do we turn in here?
Yep. There we go. Nice.
Then I'll be back again. Are they even fucking open?
Yeah, they're open.
IHOP not open at 7 in the morning. That would be despicable.
Baby, you can drive my car. A long time ago, I was going to London to teach classes. And I asked those guys, I need a visa or something like that. They said, no, just tell me you're on vacation. I said, cool. I get on American Airlines, Philadelphia. I'd fly from Albuquerque to Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia to London. London Heathrow, and I get out, and the guy, he's an Indian guy. And he starts asking me all these questions. Are you married? Do you have kids? I said, no, I'm divorced. Do you have kids? Yeah, but they're grown. And this and that. And just all these, how much money do you have with you? And this is, what are you doing here?
Wow.
I'm on vacation. Okay. And then he says, I'll be back. He took my driver's license or my passport. He said, I'll be back. So
Oh, you walked off with it?
comes back and he goes, why do you lie to me? And I said, why did I lie to you about what? He says, you're here to teach some classes. They went and found me on Facebook.
Oh, no kidding.
And then said, I'm coming to London to teach classes, you know.
Oh,
and then I sat
no.
there and told them I'm on vacation.
So they're like, do you have a
So-
work permit?
So, yeah, you have a permit and this and that. No, I don't. And blah, blah, blah. So they stick me in this big old room. And there's all kinds of people in there.
Oh,
Yeah, that got busted doing something. So, anyway, I was in there for about 8 hours.
8 hours.
And then,
they give you
they
food?
kept interviewing me, taking me in this room. Why'd you lie? And I was like, they told me to say I was on vacation. You
Right.
know? Well, you can't do that. It's against the law. Blah blah blah.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okay. He said, we're gonna have to send you back home. I said, okay, that's fine. Better than going to jail.
Yep.
So
Oh, no.
they did that, and then eventually this guy came and got us in this truck, a van. Got me in. It was a van with like a cage.
Oh, no.
Me and about 4 or 5 other guys, and then they started driving. We drove up to this one place. The door opened. We drove in. The door closed.
Oh, go ahead.
They exchanged paperwork, and then the front door opened. We drove out and drove a little bit. Went to another place. Door opened. We drove in. The door closed. Some more paperwork.
Pretty secure.
Finally,
Yeah.
did this the third time, and he goes, everybody get out, get your luggage. So we got out, we get our luggage, we're walking, and I'm looking up, and there's these tall walls about 20, 30 feet high with barbed wire around them.
Yeesh.
And I'm going, damn, this looks like prison. The guy goes, this is prison. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
Oh, geez.
Everything, there's a first time.
So you're in
So I
prison?
spent the night in prison with this guy from Mexico that had overstayed his visa for 10 years.
10 years.
10
oh, God.
years, he finally got caught. And so he was working over there in Europe. So anyway, it was okay. You know, we shared the room. You know, they open this little thing, and the trays of food slide in the morning, and
So it was. Yeah.
you know, yeah. And there was no handle on,
How long
no
were you
doorknob, just overnight. Then we got dressed, and then it took us to this other room. And this lady says,
Cough.
Mr. Reed, come over here. I said, okay. So I went over there and I sat down. And she starts asking me all these questions. You know, and then she goes, you know, she, you're not going to give us any trouble, are you? And I said, with what? And she goes, well, you're going back home. We're going to put you on the plane to go back home. You're not going to give us any trouble. I said, no, not at all. Just put me on the plane. I'm good. I screwed up. I'm sorry. And so she goes, okay, I got to ask you some questions. She asked me, and then one of them says, what do you do for a living? I said, would you like to see? She goes, yeah. I said, my suitcase said, let me get my portfolio out. And I'm showing her my portfolio. And she's freaking out. I said, this is body painting. And really? And she says, George, come here. So this guy comes over. He's a prison guard. I had 8 prison guards standing around me looking at my portfolio. And I'm passing out my business cards,
Oh, man,
to them,
yeah.
and they're all happy.
Bring them everywhere, right?
They're all excited. So when I get home, I get like 8 friend requests on Facebook from prison
those
guards in England. So anyway, these guys, when all this was over, these 2 guys come and they get me, and they're excited. They're asking me all these questions, and I go and. Then they stick me in the car and they drive me around over to the airport, and I go in this back door, and I'm escorted on the plane by 2 prison guards.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and I know everybody first class hadn't even gone on yet.
Right, yeah.
And they're sitting there looking,
Everybody's-
going, "Oh shit, we got a convict flying with us." And so I go back
body
there.
painter.
Oh, okay, but
You renegade, you.
I got to go back. When I flew from Philadelphia to London, it was at night. We left at 8:00 at night. So it was. They turned off the lights in the plane, and I was on my laptop looking at fixing a body painting. You know? And all of a sudden, I hear behind me, "Oh my God, did you do that?" And I turned. And I was like, "Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to do this in here?" And she goes, "No, that's great. I want to see it." So she sat down next to me. There's nobody next to me. She sat down next to me, and she's looking at all my body paintings. I'm a photographer, and blah, blah, blah. And,
Oh, okay.
And then this next, she called the other flight attendant over, and she came, and she was like, "This is Mark," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Hi." You know, and for an hour and a half, we sat there looking at all my work. So anyway,
Were they the same crew on the airplane when you were going back?
same crew going back. So when
You're on
and
the
these
plane.
2 guys escort me to the plane. They take me about halfway. It's a big, it's a jumbo plane.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, so I
Right for
go
that.
about 3/4 way down on the left side against the window, and I'm sitting there, and they take my passport. You know, because they can't give me my passport until I land in the
Right.
United States. And so I'm just sitting back there, and all of a sudden I hear, "Mark," I'm going, "What the fuck?" And I'm looking, it's that flight attendant.
Oh, no.
She goes, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, you'll never believe I went to prison last night." "What?" I said, "Yeah, I was in prison. I didn't have my visa, whatever, blah, blah, blah." "Oh, I'm sorry." She goes, "Would you like a row all by yourself?" She goes, "I got a whole empty row over here." I said, "Sure, I'd love one." I had 5 seats to myself. And she goes, here's some wine. She gave me 3 little bottles of wine.
Perfect.
You know, and I was like, oh, excited. And so I'm sitting there, you know, all of a sudden I hear, "Mark!"
Oh no.
Yeah, it's the other flight attendant. She goes, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, I went to prison last night. You never believe it." She goes, "Really?" I said, "Really? What happened?" "I didn't have a visa." And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Here, get some wine." She gave me 3 bottles of wine.
Oh, God,
It's
so you
6
get
bottles
sauced.
of wine. When I got to Philadelphia, I was hammered, man.
Have you been back to England since?
Yeah, I came back and got a, what you call it?
Like a work permit visa or whatever?
And then I went back. And this
Same.
was
And
like
how were
2
they?
weeks. Within 2 weeks, I
how
went
were
back. They won't let me into the country for 5 years.
Oh, really?
But they never told me that.
Oh, so you went
So-
over again and they said, no, you can't be here?
Yeah. So
Oh, no.
I had to call Saskia I said, well, I asked him, I said, well, look, if you look at my itinerary, I'm going from here to Amsterdam and then from Amsterdam back to the States. I said, can I go ahead and go from here to Amsterdam? They said, yeah, you got to go get you a ticket, though. You got to go, you know, because your thing isn't for another week or so that I was supposed to be in London. So you got to go over there and get your ticket. You got to do it right now. I said, I'll be right back. Yeah, I called Saskia and I said, Saskia, you got to come get me to the airport. She goes, what happened?
Oh, man.
I went to prison.
I can't come back.
So that was like 2 weeks later, and they said that was that you couldn't be there for 5 years.
Yeah, they said once
Really?
you get denied entry to there, you can't go back for 5
Oh
years.
man.
Yeah, so one time I got a call to do Lady Justice, and we made the scales, and I bought a sword, and whatever. Yeah, it was a sword. And
Blindfolded?
yep, fucking blindfolded, made a wig, and I had to stand in for like 8 hours. 8 hours standing still. So you'd switch. Like, it was so hard. But they paid me again $1,200 a day to do this. Every day, every day after work, I'd go get a foot massage. I was like, oh.
You could afford to.
I could. I was like, fuck this. I did all kinds of statue work just because they would call me and ask me if I could do it. I'd go buy something on sale or go to the thrift store, paint it up. When they did a grand opening downtown, they paid for my parking, they put me up in a room, and then every day I would just come downstairs
I
to the
used to
lobby.
love that ship.
We used to go down to the Marco Island Marriott with the kids. I would paint for 3 days and during the week. The kids had the run of the place. They could go on any shelling tour, do whatever the hell they want. They went scuba diving, everything. And they put us up in the top room, upstairs, facing the beach. The kids would be like, Mom, how do we get this? And I'd be like, face paint. So then they came up with this. They came up with this. They named me VIP, very important painter. Margie Canner, VIP.
All together, yes,
Yeah, that,
please.
please. I'll take care of this.
All right.
They got pistachio ice cream there.
Oh, I bet that's good. Pistachio land.
Alrighty.
Getting the painting supplies.
I got these ones that are like an L-shaped almost. And they were great for cutting panties off around the crotch. They were little, short, L-shaped. I can't find any.
That comes in handy. So Mark, tell us, how did you get your start doing this?
Oh, that's a great story. Let me turn this music down. You want to hear this one?
Absolutely.
It's funnier than hell. So, I moved from New Mexico to Dallas in 1999, end of 1999.
I was having babies.
And yeah, I moved there in end of 1999, and then so eventually I started doing whatever working. I got hired to work there at a telecommunications place. We supplied cable for SBC, Southwestern Bell, blah blah blah. And okay, you're gonna come down like this. Hold on, I gotta talk to myself here.
No
for a
worries.
second. And there we go.
And so I saw an event for a thing for face painting, and back then I painted faces with acrylic paints. I just did cheek art on cheeks. I didn't do full faces. I didn't know anything about that. I just saw some.
exists.
I saw some, but yeah, it did. But I didn't. I come from Dexter and Hagerman.
Yeah, but
Nobody knows anything there. So I saw a woman painting at the mall one time, and I said, "What are you using there?" She said, "These little acrylic paints from Walmart." I said, "Great, only 50 cents a thing, you know." I said, "I can do that." So I went and got some and started painting. So I saw a thing in Grapevine, Texas, Grape Fest. And so I went and applied for a face painter, and they said, "Yeah, we need a face painter." I said, "Good." So I was doing that, and while I was setting up for the event, this little old lady came up to me, and she said, "You the boss here?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "I'm looking for work." And I'm like, and she was an old lady. She's missing her front 2 teeth up on top. She had long hair down to the ground.
Wow.
It was crazy, gray hair, and she wasn't much to look at. And I said, "Well, show me some of your," I said, "What do you do?" And she goes, "I'm a face painter." I said, "Well, show me some of your work." And she had this little, you know, Walgreens, you go get your pictures developed. They put them in little 4x6s in a little album. And she showed me that, and I almost shit on myself. I saw my first full-face tiger. And I couldn't breathe. It was like, I was like, can you show me how to do that? And she goes, "Sure." And I said, "Well, go get your paints." I didn't care if I made any money. I wanted to learn how to do that. And she showed me that, the butterfly, the Spider-Man, some flowers, you know, all this full face stuff. And I was just in heaven. Oh my God, you have no idea.
the crazy thing is he became known for his tigers. That was like his first.
Well, that's because the tiger she showed me was everybody in the whole world copied one thing and nobody changed.
Right.
The tiger was there for 2 years. The ladies in England painted it, and everybody was afraid to advance, to change, you know, to grow. And so I did that there in Dallas for 2 years, and finally one day I said, "You know what, enough of this shit." So I sat down with Sharon and I painted this new tiger on Sharon, and then we went to the convention, Febaic, for the first time.
What year was this? What year was this?
2004.
2004.
I didn't know anybody.
That was my
Nobody.
first time there.
Nobody knew me.
2003.
And so during one of the jams, I painted Sharon that tiger, and all those women were like, "Oh my God, who did that?" And I'm like, "Well, that guy over there." "Well, who's he?" "We don't know." And I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew me. And I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
The response I got from these girls. Okay, back, face me again. You okay?
Yeah, I just needed to move a little.
That's okay, face me. So yeah, and the next thing I know is like, "Can you show us how to do that one?" "Sure, of course." So we are going to make this, hold on.
So he was literally sitting in the lobby
Yeah.
painting these ladies all day long, and they're like, ooh, ah, they're literally creaming in their jeans over this guy as he's painting tigers. And I walk by, I'm like, dude, what the hell?
Now, did you have any sort of history in art with?
Oh, I've been
Painting
I've been
anything?
drawing and painting since I was 5 years old.
So it
That
was in
was-
you. It was something that was,
it was-
compelling
yeah,
inside
I
you.
was-
Signs that were, like, he would do all this.
I did lettering and people freaked out on that, and I was like, it's just like, wow.
It's
This
easy
is
for you.
just-
It came.
It was easy
Yeah.
for me. And I had done it. I painted signs for a living for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then that was it. I moved on. So actually, before this, before I went there, I was in Dallas, and I was part of the Face Painters Guild, which I wasn't real happy with. I sort of got thrown into that one because I was raising 2 boys by myself, and I didn't have time to play around and do this. I needed to go do a job. I want to work, blah, blah, blah.
Make money.
And so this lady, the little old lady that was painting with me, she says, "I found this Dallas Fort Worth Face Painters Guild. would you come with me? I said, no. I said, what is it? She goes, it's a bunch of ladies get together and do face painting and share ideas and this. I said, no, I don't want to go paint with a bunch of little old ladies. There we go. I don't want to go paint with a bunch of little old ladies. Until she begged me. She goes, just once. So I went and I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. One day, I'm at home and I get a phone call. And it's one of the guild members and she goes, hey Mark, you got to come to Irving. Blah, blah, blah. Marcella's here. And I said, who the hell's Marcella? She said, she owns Silly Farm. I said, what's Silly Farm? I said, this place they sell all this stuff. She has the magazine. I said, what magazine? She said, Face and Body Art International. I was like, oh, no shit. They said, just bring your portfolio and show her. So I took my portfolio. I waited till she was finished. I said, they told me to come and show you this stuff. And she was like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. You know, I want you to be in my magazine. I was like, okay, what do I got to do? She goes, I need 5 face paintings and 1 body painting. And I said, okay, deal. So I left and I went home and I told my girlfriend I was living with at the time, her name was Sarah. And God, I loved Sarah. She came home and I said, Sarah. She goes, what? I said, I'm going to be in an international magazine. She goes, really? I said, really? She goes, what do you got to do? I said, 5 face paintings and a body painting. She said, oh, well, you may as well forget it. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, you're not going to paint no naked woman. I said, why not? You're just not. I said, oh, shit.
Who said that to you?
My girlfriend.
Oh.
I said, damn, what am I going to do? So, anyway, the next day, I got off work and I went to the bar where, because I drove a forklift during the day, I waited tables at night, and on weekends I did face painting. I went to the bar and I was sitting there all sad at the place where I worked, and the lady comes, the bartender looks at me and she goes, what's the matter, Mark? I said, well, I got a chance to be in an international magazine and I got to do 5 face paintings and 1 body painting, and Sarah won't let me do the body painting. I said, I wouldn't know how to ask a woman anyway. And she said, you can paint me. And I was like, no shit. She goes, yeah, I would love to get painted. I was like, okay. So her and her friend came one day and I painted them both. Yeah, I painted them behind Sarah's back. And then finally came the day the magazine came, and I'm scared to death. I gotta tell Sarah, you know? So the magazine came, Sarah came home, she sat on the sofa, I threw the magazine on the coffee table, I said, there it is, I did it. She goes, you did what? And I said, body painting. And she just looked at me with this look, if looks could kill thing, you know? And I was like, yeah, so she opened the magazine, she starts looking through it, she sees the face painting, and then she comes to the body painting, she looks at it, she looks at me, she looks at it, she looks at me. She threw the magazine on the table, she went in her bedroom, our bedroom, she packed her shit and left.
Wow.
Best thing ever happened to you.
Just like that. So,
Wow.
then I went to Quebec and did my cats, painted my tigers and stuff.
Wow.
And then I got asked to go to Hawaii. And then I came home one day, I was packing and Sarah called me. I said, hey Sarah, what's up? She goes, Mark, I need to talk to you. I said, what's the matter? Are you all right? She goes, yes, I just miss you.
Aww.
So I'm so sorry. She goes, do you have time to talk? I said, well, she goes, what are you doing right now? I said, I'm packing. You're packing? Where are you going? I said, to Hawaii. And she goes, for what? I said, remember that thing you left me for?
That.
That. And she was like, end of conversation. So, a couple of months later, I get a phone call and it's Sarah. I said, hey Sarah, what's going on? She goes, Mark, what are you doing? She goes, I need to talk to you. I really need to talk to you, Mark. What are you doing right now? I said, I'm packing. She said, where are you going? I said, to Belgium. And she goes, Belgium? For what? And I said, remember that thing you left me for? And she's like, God, I felt so bad for her. You know, I just really did. I felt bad for her. I'm like, poor thing, if she'd only known. But I don't know that at that time, because of who I was and what I know now, I'm not ashamed or afraid for my girlfriend to be naked in front of a group of our people and being painted. You know, right now I could care less. I mean, it's like, it's what we do.
Yeah.
It's what we do,
Exactly.
and there's nothing wrong with it, especially after you spend so much time in Europe.
Yeah.
And those women there are just,
My family has a big taboo about me getting body painted, like it's some sort of shameful thing, and I'm like, it's art.
how
And
dare you?
you're too old to be doing that. And you know what? I'm gonna do it until, well, this is the last one, I think. I say I think
Bullshit.
because
You
if you
say
ask
that
me
now.
again, I'd probably do it again. But there's very few people that'll let body paint me. What happens in the white sands stays in the white sands.
I'm pretty impressed. Thanks, Mark.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
It was
Kidding me?
Best day ever.
Best day ever. It was fabulous.
It was.
My
Off the
mom's
hook.
proud.
Off the
Yeah.
charts.
See?
The body painting world is going to be so jelly.
Now that our trip is over, how do you feel it went?
Oh my God, it was the most incredible experience. Being fully body painted by one of your mentors is, first of all, the coolest thing ever. Walking through the white sands of New Mexico, fully body painted, and having your husband video it and pictures being taken by both Marks, and the banter between the three of us was hilarious. It was just, I'm going to be 60, and this is probably the last time I'll ever do this, but it was, unless Mark, of course, asks me again, it was just phenomenal. my expectations were fully met. We had no idea, first of all, what we were going to paint until the day he painted it. He was kind of going back and forth between a few different designs. And the fact that he chose 2 birds was really an interesting connection for me, because I've always been connected to the birds, being caged and being free, and to be able to walk through those sands, it felt so freeing. Being painted by Mark compared to others would be, most of the people that have painted me, I don't get painted by just anybody. Like, I guess I'm kind of a body paint snob. I've only had the best in the world paint me. And they're all my friends. We've been working together for 10, 15 years. So I don't ever feel uncomfortable. And with Mark, we have such a banter and humor that he can say anything to me and my feelings don't get hurt, and I can say anything to him and we just end up busting a gut. So time goes by a lot quicker when you know the person that you're being painted by, you respect the person that you're being painted by, and you know what the rules are. You know, I taught yoga for many, many years, so I know how to stand still and how to get into a position and stay there. And it's really, for the painter, it's really important that the model understands what they have to do. Because if you don't stand correct, the whole design can be screwed up and it can take twice as long. To be body painting, you want to make sure that you're in a warm environment. You don't want to be cold. It's uncomfortable enough to be almost naked and be painted. I don't know, I guess I enjoy the whole process because we're creating something together, and it's not just paint, it's art. And that's also why I pick and choose who paints me, because I want what's on my body to be art, not just practice. I think this design that Mark painted on me took about 4.5 hours. It is physically demanding to be painted. You have to stand, well, for Mark, you stand on a couple of boards. So I was standing on this board, holding my hands up to the ceiling 70% of the time. The rest of the time my arms could come down, but because of the poses that we were going to perform, I had to make sure that the art was going to be in the correct position. Is it challenging? Absolutely. Is it gratifying and the coolest thing? Yeah, but let me tell you where the hard part is. Standing there getting painted for 4.5 hours, fine. Going out to the white sands and trying to pose after your feet are killing you and they're like, stay in that pose, hold that pose, and I'm, oh God, that was hard. My final thoughts on this experience would be that I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else but my 2 Marks. Just the whole adventure of it, you know, flying out there with my husband, him getting to meet Mark's daughter, and to spend time together, not just body painting, but we explored New Mexico with Mark. He took us to different spaces that had a lot of meaning and a lot of history, and that part was a lot of fun, as well as the painting. But to have the 2 of them on this adventure along with me made it such a special time. Mark and I are getting older. We're well-seasoned artists, and to still be able to go out to the white sands and just walk along those sands, and he painted me. What an incredible experience. It's the White Sands Challenge. Who's next?